Wife's been cheating with her friend, so I went ahead and scorched Earth. When I found out about the betrayal, my world collapsed. One day, returning home from work, I saw them together. It was something I could never have imagined. My wife, with whom I had spent 5 years, and my best friend, with whom I shared all my joys and sorrows. I stood in the doorway, unable to believe my eyes. They were laughing, sharing secrets, and in that moment, I realized that everything I knew about our friendship and love was a lie. At first, I couldn't believe what was happening. I thought maybe it was just a joke, that they were laughing at me. But when I walked into the room and saw their faces full of horror and guilt, I understood that this was not a joke. My life, my family, my love, all of it was shattered in an instant. I didn't know what to do. I felt a wave of rage and betrayal building inside me. I wanted to scream, hit, take revenge, but instead, I just went outside to gather my thoughts. The night enveloped the city, and I wandered the streets, lost in my thoughts. I felt my anger filling me, as if I could burn everything around me to rid myself of the pain. At that moment, I made a decision. I didn't just want revenge, I wanted to scorch everything that connected me to them, to this life that had lost its meaning. I remembered how I once dreamed of traveling, of new horizons, of discovering the world. But now all of that seemed empty and meaningless. I decided that I needed to start with a clean slate, and for that, I had to destroy everything associated with the past. The next morning, I gathered all the things that reminded me of them, photographs, gifts, letters, all of it went into the trash. I felt a weight lift off my soul with each discarded item, but at the same time, I knew this wouldn't solve the problem. I wanted more. I wanted them to know what they had lost. I wanted them to understand that their betrayal would not go unpunished. I began to plan my revenge. I knew that it wouldn't bring me happiness, but at that moment, I didn't care. I created an account on social media under a fake name and started talking to people who could help me. I looked for ways to ruin their lives, to make them feel the same pain I felt. I found a few acquaintances who were willing to help me, and we began to plan. At the same time, I started working on myself. I signed up for a gym and began to focus on my development. I realized that revenge was not the answer, but at that moment, it was the only thing I could control. I became stronger, more confident. I started traveling, opening new horizons, meeting new people. This helped me distract myself from the pain, but deep down, I was still filled with anger. Months went by, and I realized that revenge would not bring me happiness. I began to understand that I was the one creating my life and that I should not allow others to control my emotions. I decided that it was time to forgive, not for them, but for myself. I couldn't let their betrayal continue to control my life. I wrote letters to both of them, expressing my feelings. I told them about the pain and betrayal, about how it changed me. I didn't expect a response, but it was important for me to express my emotions. I sent the letters and felt a weight lift off my shoulders. It was a release. A few weeks later, I received a response. They wrote to me expressing their regret for what happened, and that they understood how deeply it affected me. I read their words and felt a wave of emotions rising within me. I didn't know what to think. On one hand, I was glad that they realized their mistake, but on the other, I couldn't forget the pain. I decided to meet with them. It was difficult, but I understood that it was necessary. We met at a cafe, and the conversation began awkwardly. They apologized, and I felt old wounds starting to heal. We talked about what had happened, about how it changed our lives. I realized that they had also suffered, that their betrayal stemmed from their own problems. We discussed how we could move forward. I didn't want to return everything to the way it was, but I understood that forgiveness was the first step toward healing. We decided that we would support each other, but on a new level. I understood that revenge would not bring me happiness, but only more pain. Since then, a lot of time has passed. I continued to develop, travel, and discover new horizons. I found new love, and it was what I had been searching for. I learned to appreciate the people around me and not to hold grudges against those who caused me pain. I realized that life is too short to waste on hatred and revenge. Now, looking back, I understand that betrayal became a lesson for me. It taught me to value true relationships, to be cautious in choosing the people who enter my life, and most importantly, to forgive. I haven't forgotten what happened, but I don't allow it to control my life. I chose the path of love and understanding, and it brought me true happiness. Time passed, and I decided it was time to leave the past behind completely. I gathered all my old belongings that reminded me of the pain, photographs, letters, gifts. I chose a day when I felt particularly positive and went to nature to hold a ritual of forgiveness. I lit a fire and burned everything that had once held me captive in memories. With the flames, my resentment disappeared. I felt that with each blaze, a part of the pain was leaving, and in its place came relief. I spoke words of forgiveness not only for them but for myself. I understood that forgiveness is not just an act of kindness but a necessity for my own healing. After that, I continued to grow and evolve. I discovered new hobbies, such as yoga and meditation, which helped me maintain inner peace. I became more attentive to my emotions and learned to control them. With each passing year, I grew more confident in myself, and this reflected in every aspect of my life. I continued to develop my photography skills and soon began receiving orders for wedding shoots. This was not only a way to earn money, but also an opportunity to witness the love and happiness of others, which inspired me. One day, at a wedding, I saw my ex-wife. She attended the wedding as a guest, and upon seeing her, I felt old resentment flare up. But this time, I didn't let my emotions take over. I approached her and greeted her. We exchanged pleasantries, and I noticed that she had changed. There was no longer that bitterness in her eyes that I once saw. We talked about how things were going for us. I shared my successes, how I learned to forgive and let go. She also shared her experiences and how she had been working on herself. We both understood that life goes on, and while we couldn't return to the past, we could build a new future. This meeting became an important moment for me. I realized that forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means freeing oneself from the burden that drags you back. I left the event with a light heart, knowing that I had made the right choice. Now, when I look at my life, I see how far I've come. I found love, trust, and respect that I once lost. I learned to appreciate every moment and understand that life is full of opportunities. I no longer hold grudges against those who caused me pain because I know that this is just part of my journey. I am ready for new challenges, new meetings, and new adventures. I have learned that the most important thing is to be open to life and not be afraid to love again. And perhaps this is true freedom.